My name is Catherine, and welcome back. First off, I want to apologize for the 40-long-minute intro video to my channel and the horrendous editing in it. This will hopefully be a lot better and a lot quicker. For those of you who don't know, hi, my name is Kate. I do videos on makeup and just telling stories on either my experiences. I also just talk about products that I like, and I do little mini reviews and just get ready with me. I am currently dressed in a very fancy jumpsuit, even though I have nowhere to go, so I decided today is going to be a very fancy makeup day because I have all the time in the world to do it because I finished all of my homework like 2 days in advance, so I am bored. One way to make this go faster is by cutting out all the boring bits. So I just primed with the Poreless Putty Primer by e.l.f. Talked about this in my last video. Again, you can pick this up at Walmart, CVS, probably Walgreens. You can also pick this up at Ulta. Fairly affordable brand. They also have formulas for specifically the putty primer for dry and oily skin. I'm just using the original. I am then going to prime my eyelids. And this time, I know last time I used the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Eden. This time I'm just going to go in with my Juvia's Place Concealer because personally I think either or works the same. I like the Juvia's Place Concealer just because it gives me a little bit more coverage of my eyelids and it kind of works a little bit more like a sticky base. So, you know, I just pat it in. The Juvia's Place Concealer, I picked this up at Ulta, just prime my eyelids. And now I'm going to get started on the eyeshadow. So as you can see, I just kind of tried to get the shape that I wanted. Mentioned in the last video, I did say that I wanted to do a halo eye, but I ended up going off the rails. This time I am going to do a halo eye. I am using the ColourPop A Flutter palette. It is probably one of my favorite palettes. I don't have anything else by ColourPop besides their Pretty Fresh foundation, so I want to get a couple more eyeshadow palettes by them. They are very affordable for people as well. You can find them. They have, I believe, their own website that you can find them at. You can also pick up any of their products at Ulta. I am just going, what I first did was I went into Satin Wings and I just pounced it on the outside and then the inner corner of my eyes to get the shape that I want. I then want to just kind of give it more of a blown out effect. So then I'm going to hop into the color Transcend and just buff and blend. I don't really do a lot of halo eyes. I think I've got one picture on my Instagram of me doing one of them, but halo eyes are really difficult because it's essentially putting color on the outside and inner corner of your eyes, cutting the inner portion of your eye with concealer, and then gradually getting lighter until you either get to a shimmer shade or a fairly bright matte shade on the way inner part of your eye. I think it looks really cool because it gives the eye a nice opened effect, but it's really difficult to do. So I know I also said that I was going to talk a little bit more about myself in these videos, so I do want to do that as well. So I kind of gave the basics of, you know, how old I am, when I was born, where I used to live, my childhood home. I did say that I had a boyfriend, but I do want to save the kind of stories about us for like a later date as well. But one of the things that I can talk about is my college experience. And something that you guys might not know is I was actually originally a radio communications major. I wanted to be in radio, and I took radio for the first semester of my first year, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. I'll talk about what else I did in a second, but the reason I couldn't do radio anymore is just because it got too technologically advanced for me, and I am more of a pen and paper kind of a person. So it just didn't click with me. Ended up jumping ship over to marketing communications because I had enough credits in that class in that major where I wouldn't be too far behind. So yeah, that's primarily why I made the jump. So for what I did, as you see, because I've done a little bit more, I then went into the color Crisscross on kind of a flat-edged brush, and I just tapped it on the outside portion, and then I took the color Ooh, I tapped it on the inside portion, and then I took a fairly clean, fluffy brush, lightly tapped into Satin Wings, connected the two, just kind of did a windshield wiper motion back and forth, then took a bigger fluffy brush, went into Transcend, and buffed it even further. So it's a lot of buffing and blending with Halo eyes, and it's a lot of practice. Again, I am by no means, I am not perfect. Not at all. It takes practice and a lot of patience. Next, I'm just going to take a fairly small brush, and I'm going to look over here because I have a mirror, so I'll be right back and I'll just show you guys how I cut my crease. I don't know if you guys can see, but this is kind of, I just took the concealer and tapped it on the inner portion of my eye, just to kind of put concealer down to act as like glue for all the other shadow that I'm going to put down. I'm then going to, surprise, surprise, head into my James Charles X Morphe palette. And I am going to pick, actually, I do want to do kind of a pinky color. I'm just going to try to take the pink color that's in the palette and tap it on the outer edges of each color. Oh, that's fun. And you just want to make sure that you want the two shades to be blended. So I'll probably go over again with the shade in the ColourPop palette, Ooh, and the other one. Give me one sec while I try and think of it. And just make sure that the colors are blended fairly well. Satin Wings. There we go. I'm going to take my trusty Satin Wings and just kind of blend the colors together. I don't want any harsh lines. So now you kind of got to transition into Ooh and the pink color and Crimson and the pink color. You know, give it a little bit of that 80s flair. You know, that is definitely my favorite era of music, is the 80s up until the 90s. I mentioned before I grew up in the wonderful era of the 2000s. And during that time, mixed CDs were really big. So in my car, I literally have a one of those CD holders that's kind of like a little flip book. And none of them are marked. Probably are. I'm just going to take more concealer and just kind of cut more into that inner part. Because next we're going to put a shimmer down. We're going to go into the Aflutter palette again. And there's this color in the Aflutter palette. Ooh, do I want to do Fly Away or Dwindle? Because they're both really pretty. This is Dwindle. It's kind of more like a putty consistency that you have to use your finger for. Or there's Fly Away, which always adds a nice, like, just shine to the inner corner. However, there is a color in the James Charles palette that I am fairly fond of as well. I believe this one is called, I'm not entirely sure. I forgot, sorry. But this pinky shimmer, I actually really like. So I think we're going to go into this shimmer. Ooh, yeah, that was a good choice. I'm then going to go back into that pink and just kind of blend. You know, again, you don't want really any harsh lines. And there you go. That is a somewhat decent halo eye. I am by no means perfect. I am not a professional. So if you think you are getting professional advice on this channel, you are wrong. You are getting an amateur or a noob who just really likes makeup. So I just threw on some eyeliner. This is probably the best it's going to get. I use for eyeliner, I didn't mention in the last video, the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof 16-hour eyeliner. Wet n Wild is, again, a fairly affordable brand. You can find them at Walmart, CVS, or Ulta. You can probably find them in more drugstores as well. Those are just the 3 places where I've found and bought from. And yeah, I really like this eyeliner. They also have an eyeliner called the Skinny that has a long enough handle that I like having distance when I do my eyeliner because then I don't feel like I'm like super up close. So that one has a really long handle. This one has a pretty decent and nice thick handle too. So yeah, that's the eyeliner. Quickly, I'm just going to go into my foundation. I use the Milani Screen Queen in the color 150 Cool Shell. I picked this up. I believe it's one of their newest foundations. Picked it up at Ulta. Absolutely love it because you can make it as sheer or as light coverage as you want. I prefer sheer coverage, as mentioned in the last video. But if there's ever a day where, like, you know, I want to look a little bit more flawless, I will generally always use the Milani Screen Queen just to, you know, it's buildable. So if I wanted to build it up just to look like a little bit more flawless, I could. And again, I just bounce in with a beauty sponge because I like to have a more sheared out foundation. The good thing about beauty sponges is that they do soak up a little bit of the product, so you kind of have a little bit more control on areas that you're tapping it in. I just struggle with using a brush. I used to use a brush when I was in high school, and maybe one day I'll talk about my makeup experience in high school because it was not pretty. But we'll save that for another day. A little bit more about me. I did theater for most of school. If you cannot tell, I am a little bit of a theater brat. I was actually the French taunter in Spamalot during my high school musical, high school senior year musical, which was so much fun. And I think the play that I am the most proud of is I played Amanda in the Glass Menagerie during my freshman year of college. And for those of you who have never been in who've never read the Glass Menagerie, or who have never, like, done a play on it. Oh, I've got to put down my concealer. Okay, we're just going to pat this real quick and then put down a little bit of, like, concealer. We're actually going to go, whenever I do this and I mess up, and I don't really need a lot of coverage, I do need some because I do have some dark circles. I just go into the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, take my finger, make sure your fingers are clean, please, and I just tap it underneath my eye. Blends out really easily. And see, now I don't look tired anymore. With the help of some Gigi Gorgeous bronzer and some Lovecraft Beauty contour powder, I now look alive. I am then next going to take some Swallowtail. I always like doing a different, like, almost darker under eye. I'm just gonna smudge this underneath my eye. Oh, you know what color would actually be perfect for this? I'm going to do this real quick, and then I'm going to pull out a different eyeshadow color. A product I own that I'm very happy I own is the Mini Controversy Shane Dawson x Jeffree Star. I'm going to go into the color Controversy. And just kind of add that to my under eye. And then I'm going to go into the color Exposed and just kind of finish it up. And blend. I kind of like going a little bit more extreme with my under eyes. I don't know why, I just do. I think, like, psychologically, I convince myself that it covers up my dark circles because I put color on. Focus on me. Thank you, camera. Thank you, Mr. Phone. And yeah, so that is basically the eyes and the bronzer and contour. Now we are going to go and move on to eyebrows. So I was going to use my Inked Brow by Urban Decay, but this is an essential product I feel like everybody should have. Fairly expensive, at least for a broke college student, so I'm going to make sure I save that as much as possible. I am going to actually go into the Essence Super Last 24 Hour Eyebrow Pomade Pencil that is waterproof. I absolutely love this pencil. I think I mentioned in the last video that I go for pencils that are definitely, the color pencil is definitely darker than my natural brow, just because since I'm blonde, my brows can get fairly lost. I'll do this brow on camera, and then I'll do the other brow off camera, just so that way you guys can see like how I do my eyebrows. It's always difficult to explain how to do eyebrows because the way I learned was just through practice. That is, I did not watch any fancy videos. I learned just by practicing with the shape of my eyebrow and realizing what I like. Because even though I like a darker brow, I do not like an Instagram baddie brow that is huge. Like some days I'll go for that, but generally it's always a mistake. And I just kind of map out where I want my brow to be. Again, it just, the only way I got to this point was just through practice. No fancy tricks, no. And you know what? I feel we discredit practice a lot these days. A lot of people try and find easy hacks. And yeah, those hacks are useful, but ultimately it just comes down to practice, practice, practice. Which I think just shows that I have a lot of time on my hands. Okay, I'm really happy with how that brow looks. Next, I'm just going to go into the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. My mom got this in her Ipsy bag, or one of my friends got this in her Ipsy bag, and she didn't want to keep it. I like it just because it kind of gives my brows a more naturally defined look. And there you go. That is one brow. I'm going to do the other brow off camera, and I'll be right back. And now I have eyebrows. Yeah, I really like this product. Fairly affordable, like I mentioned before. This product, not so much. I still love it though. So now after the eyes and the contour and the face, we now go into my favorite part, which is the blush. I love blush. I love blush. This is the CoverGirl Peach Punch blush. Peach scented, actually. So I was one day just, I think, looking at makeup because I needed to pick up something really quickly at Walmart. And he was bored out of his mind, my boyfriend. And I said to him, well, why don't you pick out a blush for me? And he picked this blush and he really likes it. I think mainly because it is peach scented. As I proceed to drop it all over the floor. But hey, it did not break. I do have blush all over my fingers now. Then I'm just going to take a buffer blush and just kind of buff it into the skin a little bit. You know, like I mentioned, I do go a little bit ham with the blush, but that is because I like blush. I think blush is cute. And as I mentioned in the last video, I tend to go in with 2 blushes. So next I'm going to go into the ColourPop Cheek Shock, Super Shock Cheek and Tasty. This, I believe, is just supposed to be a highlighter because it's very shiny, actually. But I tend to just put it on the top part of my cheek just to give myself a little bit of shine and color up there. A little bit on my nose as well. I don't know, I feel like it gives me a super cute look. I could just be fooling myself and I could absolutely look like a clown right now, but you know what? That probably won't stop me from doing it. Now, since I'm actually pretty happy with this makeup look, I am going to go into one of my setting sprays, which is the De-Slick Urban Decay. This is just the travel size. You can get it for like $15 or around that much. And I'm just going to spray my face real quick. Make sure you fan that down. Next, I'm going to go in with the Ayako London Wake Up and Go Mascara. What I like about this mascara is that you can, the way it is shaped, put it against my pale skin for a second, the way it is shaped is very, it's curved. So you can easily manipulate it to like get a lot of the lash. There we go. Now I have lashes. And next I'm going to go into the Ofra Cosmetics liquid lipstick. I tend to, if you can't tell, I kind of go for a theme for lipsticks. It's always a kind of mauve-y color. I also have like this Bright Essence Color Boost Mad About Matte liquid lipstick. I don't use it that often though. I will generally use it on the days when I will use more vibrant lipsticks if I only have a cat eye or just mascara on, because I don't feel like one should always outweigh the other, if you catch my drift. Like my eyes, if I'm doing something crazy with my eyes, should not outweigh my lips. Or my lips should not outweigh my eyes if my eyes are the main focus. That's what I mean. I always try to give my upper lip more fullness than my bottom lip because my bottom lip is already fairly full. I don't think I would ever get plastic surgery for my lips just because I have a very bad fear of needles. But it just sometimes bothers me that the lines of my top lip kind of sink in, as opposed to I would like them to be more puffed out. But yeah, that is the liquid lipstick. And next I'm going to go into a highlighter. Now, this is going to sound kind of stupid, but there's this company called Five Below, and they have a store not far away from where I live in Augusta. And I picked up this highlighting palette one day. And, you know, like, I think a lot of the stuff they carry, it's like not, it's kind of meant for like kids, but this is actually really good highlighting product. I really like it. All I know is that I picked it up from Five Below. I believe it's called the Light Rays highlighter palette. I'm trying to find the name of the company, but this is a very well used product. So I think it's just made by a brand that kind of works one-on-one with Five Below. I just like it because the highlight I get from it is absolutely incredible. And there we go. And that's it, guys. That is my makeup look. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to find me anywhere else, as mentioned before, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok under the name Kate199716. You can also subscribe, ring the bell if you would like. That way you don't miss out on anything. And yeah, I think next video I'll probably do a Q&A. So you guys can ask me whatever questions you would like underneath this video, and I will answer whatever I deem appropriate to answer. You know, this is my first time starting out on this, so I don't want to get too deep into it just yet. Trust me, we'll get deep, but not too deep yet. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and come by again.